consciousness alone exists. All there is consciousness. The notion that people have is that they, from the mind perspective, they want to gain awareness. The mind wants to realize awareness. The mind doesn't realize awareness. Awareness realizes itself by itself, without any thought, without the mind. So, from the mind perspective, in the beginning, when it's like from the egoic mind, it is set on the journey of gaining awareness, like it objectified it, like any other object, which is normal. Yet this has, the understanding has to be shifted. Yeah, it's like the journey begins of, I want to gain enlightenment. Yes? Yet you are already the source of light. You are not going to gain who you are. So the whole journey is about removing the false misidentification with the body and the mind. We talked about it yesterday. The essence is, as long as there is a physical body, is to disidentify from being a person. Because actually the person is a phantom, is a conceptual image in the mind. And I'm not talking about the organism, because the identification is on the thought level, in the mind, and not actually in the body. Yes? So the most common mistake is that people want to realize who they are, when in fact you have to remove what you're not and remain yourself. Like an example of a sage that was here in Tiruvanamalai, Sheshadri, which all his message was, keep giving up until there's nothing to give up. What remains is the self. That means zero gaining. The egoic aspect, it's all about gaining. That's what drives it. What am I going to gain? What I'm going to receive? Yes? So that's one aspect that one has to be aware, that the recognition is essential. Yet what's going to give the challenges is the vasanas, the habit. They are the only obstacle, basically. Because the vasanas are pulling the attention outward. And vasanas are all on, we can say, tendencies, habits, except some of them are hidden and they would come into the surface. So when the tendency is going out, is how do I shift the attention and I stay in the mind? Okay? Now for the majority of people who go inward, they don't really understand what does it mean to stay in the mind. To explain what does it mean?
Just the expression when you say
stay in the mind?
Yeah. What is you trying to work on?
So in the mind we have the lower mind and the higher mind. The lower mind, we can say it's always going outward. The higher mind basically is always going inward. The higher mind, in the scriptures they call it the buddhi. Yes. The buddhi, its nature is to seek the self in order to dissolve into the self. Or there is another name, is Maya. Maya,
Buddhi and Maya are the same?
actually she created even the buddhi itself. Maybe there's some distinction, because you're not going to realize neither the buddhi nor the Maya. You won't realize these entities because they are not there. It's functions of the mind. So when the function is active, this is either Maya or the buddhi. Okay? And when there is reactivity in the mind, judgment, resistance, it's all egoic, it's all the lower mind. And the essence of this inner quest is about discerning, discernment, discrimination. Okay? Even inquiry is discernment. Inquiry into the self is discernment. Concentrating the mind, it's discernment. Yes? It's all about discrimination. The ego is discriminating too between pleasure and pain, likes and dislike, good and bad. The higher mind discriminates between what's real and what's unreal, between the self, the source, and the non-self. Yes? And it does another aspect. It determines the true nature of the object. Now, who believes that it is an object? It's the ego. Okay? The ego believes that I am a physical body. I am an object. And the moment I'm an object, I want to fulfill my desire through the objects of the world. So I'm going out to look, I'm looking for the source in the objects of the world. That's the confusion. When the truth is that only the higher mind can realize the source, return back to the source, and the ego will dissolve into it because the ego doesn't exist. Means it is a non-existent entity that appears like a mirage, like snake on the road. Yeah, that's why they use the analogies. So when you try to get rid of the ego, kill the ego, overcome the ego, that means you believe that there is such a real entity. You validate its existence, you believe it into existence. And because it is just made up of a belief, conceptual images, beliefs, ideas, yes, habits, then you say, these are real, this is me. When in fact, the more discernment happens internally, you can see that these are just vasanas playing themselves out. Whether it's reactivity, whether it's judgment, whether there is resistance, there is no I that resists. I is consciousness, and the resistance appears inside consciousness, which who I am. Reactivity appears within consciousness. This is I. I am consciousness, and consciousness is I, and then reactivity appears. When there is no claiming the reactivity, then there is no I that claims the react. I am reactive now. I am judging now. It's just an appearance that comes into the surface. If there's no resistance to the appearance, it can be seen, and the attention can be shifted from it. It can be seen and can be discriminated. It can be seen and thoroughly investigated, questioned and investigated, instead of making it into something. Yes? Okay. So far it's clear?